gonna have to work on getting that pulley off. It doesn't want to just tap off with a hammer or anything. Engine still doesn't turn. I gotta work on being able to separate that pulley. It's interesting, I just saw that. I don't feel any corrosion either. So I think everything comes back to pretty much this. All right, I was just teasing. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the one last thing. All right, we're back at this this motor teardown. We're going to go ahead and get this side off. Again, I don't think we're going to find the culprit there, but we're going to get that side off and get this torn down, flipped over, look at the timing chain, all that kind of stuff in this episode. So let's stick with it. And the first thing we're going to do is take this side off over here. So let's see what it looks like. All right, back with you. Here you go. Just rip those two things off the exhaust manifold and the head. This side, you see some of these cylinders are down. This is the kind of oily mixture of stuff that I poured in there. Again, nothing looks super crazy. One thing I did notice though is on the valve, on the head gasket, this front passage on both sides was blocked by the head gasket, which I don't understand, because there's holes in the head, which is over here, on both sides for that water passage, but that head gasket was blocking it. So I don't know. Anyway, this is this head. Again, nothing crazy there. Got a little hockey on today. What we got? Edmonton, Washington. Looks like Washington's got this one. 5 minutes left and they're up. But yeah, still not 100% sure. Yeah, these lifters have a little bit, but maybe it's them, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm gonna take the start working on the front of this thing next, though. See if we can get the fuel pump and then the timing chain cover and some of that stuff off. See what we can do. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna start working on the front of this before we flip it over. Okay, back with you. We got this out. So I didn't have the right standard impact socket, so I used a metric. It was a 24. I'm not saying I recommend doing that, but it's what I had. It's really a 15/16 is what mine was. So yeah, I think it'll be all right. I didn't have to go too crazy on it and it started coming out. So anyway, that's out and now we get to move on. Okay, coming back with you, we pulled the fuel pump. I'll show you that on the shelf over there in a second. And then we also pulled the oil filter assembly, I guess. But you can see right in here, that is some nasty looking goop down there. Because I wasn't ever able to start the motor and really get oil up through there. So a little bit of water and that whatever that goop is came out. Coming back over here, there's the housing. You can kind of see in there. Again, not the reason the motor's not turning, but that's that. And then over here, I already put the fuel pump thing right there. So that just came off pretty easy. Still, everything is half, 9/16. Pretty much is what's gotten everything off except for the, obviously the crank bolt. I'm gonna have to work on getting that pulley off. It doesn't want to just tap off with a hammer or anything, but yeah, I think we'll just keep trucking. Let's see what else I get pulled off of here. Okay, quick update here. I pulled the motor mounts, just 2 bolts on those. That was easy, got both those pulled. I'm gonna try to at least pull this timing chain cover back some. As I got ready to go, so the top 4 bolts, which I'm missing that one, the top 4 bolts are halves, and the bottom 4 bolts are the 9/16. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off and at least pull it forward as much as I can so we can look in there and see what's going on, and then you know, I can always get it off later as far as trying to get the this pulley off. But I just want to see in there and see what the timing chain looks like and see if maybe that's part of the reason why it's locked up. All right, back with you. Remember when you're taking this cover off, if you're ever doing that, you've got the 8 bolts on the front, right? So there's the, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8. But then you also have to go up underneath here and pull the front 4 oil pan bolts too. So they bolt in right there and there from underneath here. So just the front 4 is all you need to do. But once you do that, I used a screwdriver. It's got RTV on it. I was able to wiggle this back, get it to move some. And if you look down in there, you can see what's going on. More RTV. Pull some of that out of the way. It doesn't matter if it falls because we're taking it all apart. But all right, so it's got some rust on it, for sure. But I don't know. Again, I don't know that that's the reason why it's seized up. I mean, that side over there doesn't even have as much, but I mean, it does, but I don't know. I don't know that that's why it's seized. Hard to say, but I had to get a sneak peek down in there. And so, yeah, that's how that looks. I mean, I just showed you that little piece right there. It's not even that bad. So I don't know. I think we're gonna have to flip this puppy over and get the oil pan off of it next is what we're gonna work on. So I'm gonna do that. It's gonna make a mess. I'm gonna put some more cat litter on the floor because I can even see, like when I look down in the block, I can see there's still water down in there. So it's gonna pour a bunch of junk out and make a big mess. So I'm gonna do that. And once I got it upside down, I'll show you, you know, where all the bolts are for the oil pan and stuff, and then we'll get that thing off and look in there. Okay, once I put the camera down, I was able to wiggle that up forward. So there, you kind of get a sneak peek down in there. There's some rust, obviously, but that's the whole chain right there. Again, there's rust on it, but I don't know that that's enough to seize this motor up solid. And it still was not spinning even after I took both heads and everything off. So it's nothing in the heads. It's got to be something down in the bottom. Probably those crank bearings. I'm guessing rod bearings, something down in there. But I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing over now and start working on the oil pan, like I said. All right, I told you I was going to flip this thing over, and I did. Here's the problem. I forgot a step. What I forgot to do was take these lifters out. So as you can see, gravity took a few of them out for me. So anyhow, I flipped it back over. I've got a big mess, ton of cat litter down here. I'm gonna use sawdust next time, not this, because this just makes like a mud. I'm just gonna buy like some, you know, pine chips or something next time and use that if there is a next time. Anyway, so those lifters I pulled out, those are over here. They all look pretty decent. I mean, some of them, when you really get down in there, you can see there's some rust and stuff. So I guess I'll have to replace them, but they look pretty neat, pretty nice. A couple of them have some discolorations on them, nothing you can feel. I mean, literally, well, with your fingernail, you can kind of feel it a little bit. But anyway, that's those. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest of them out. Don't forget to do that before you flip your motor over. Anyhow, first time ever doing a motor, so I guess that's how you learn, right? Screw it up. All right, those of you that want to know how you get these out, Harbor Freight magnet, I think. Anyway, just a magnet, stick it on there, and then they pull right out, and that's it. So you just do that. I can't get it off there, but anyway, and you just move yourself along, pulling them out. Really pretty easy. The hardest part is remembering to do it. So remember to do it before you flip your motor over, so you don't have your lifters falling on the floor. All right, we might be getting closer to why this thing seized up. So the magnet will not pull these four. They just won't come out. They're solid. Like, they don't move a little bit, nothing. So I think that's one part of the smoking gun for sure. I think we're gonna find more when we flip this thing over and get to looking, but I think maybe the way I was able to turn it for a few days and then it was just hard to turn. I think it's just maybe accumulation of, you know, some of this rust, that kind of stuff. But those four lifters are just, they don't move. So yeah, I think we're getting closer to the culprits here. All right, everybody, we took all the bolts out all around here, stuck them in a baggie. So now you're gonna watch with me and we're gonna see what's underneath here. But there we go. All right, so we got some goop in the oil pan down here, but really that doesn't look the worst in the world. There's our pickup. But yep, if you look at this crank, this is it's got a bunch of rust on it. So I don't know, accumulation of all the rust, and like I said, those four lifters would not move. I can't get the pulley off right now, so I don't know. I guess it's just rust all over the place. There's nothing's broke or anything. It's just rust buildup, I guess. Well, anyway, that's that. I guess I'll probably see if I can get one of these rods off here and see if I can pull that and see what it looks like inside of there, or maybe even pull one of these main caps off. Just try to get a good look inside of there, show you what that looks like. But yeah, that's what it is. All right, now that I got the oil pan out of the way, next we're gonna go after the oil pump. So that's just those two right there. I think they were 9/16. Pretty easy to pull them off. I mean, really guys, if you look at that's the underside of the piston right there in the middle of the screen. Those things look pretty much brand new. It just makes me sad to know this motor was so new. And now you got this rust problem. Hopefully this is just some random surface rust and some new bearings, and we'll get this thing running again. I don't even have to replace anything, hopefully, other than bearings, seals, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this off. It's just those two bolts, get that out of the way. And then I'm gonna pull some of the main caps and some of the rods there. See if we can see down in there on that surface and see what's going on with the bearings. All right, back with you again here. So as you can see, I got this main cap off. The issue I have is so I've got these two bolts off right here on this rod bearing, but the way I would normally be able to move the motor back and forth and kind of jockey that loose, I can't do that because it still won't move. So what I decided was I went ahead and I'm gonna pull all these main caps. So then I'll hopefully be able to move the crank up and down a little bit, and that will allow me to get this thing, get some of these rod bolts busted loose. But I got this front one out, and as you can see, there's junk in here. I haven't touched it yet, so let's see. Yeah, so it's just, I'm busting it loose with my finger. It's like a salt built up or something. And I can rub it off, but it is a ridge. It's some junk built up in there. Like right here, you can see me kind of breaking it off with my finger. So I'm guessing that's where my issues are. And you look in here, and this same thing, it's all gooped up, all down in here where you should have oil. This is, I guess salt. I don't know. It's kind of what it looks like. So I don't know. Here's what I'm saying. I think this block's just gonna need a good clean and some new bearings and some new seals. and we're gonna be back in business. That's what I'm thinking, because I think all this little bit of surface rust stuff, like that wipes off, or that kind of wipes off even with your finger, much less you run that through and clean it. Those bearings will be gone, so that rust you see and that built up goop down in the oil and grooves and everything, that'll all be gone. New timing chain, obviously, but I think just finished taking this apart, clean the block, clean all the other components, new bearings and seals, and we'll get this thing running again. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish pulling the rest of these main bearings and see what they look like, and then hopefully that'll give me the ability to kind of wiggle loose some of these rod bearings and stuff. All right, let's see where we can get. All right, another update. So we got these off. As you can see, they're all looking the same as far as having this gunk and stuff on them. Like I said, it wipes off of the crank pretty well, and it is, I don't know, I saw some crystals and stuff and some of the stuff in the front, so I'm guessing it's a combination of salt, oil, and stuff. I cannot get this middle one to come off. It just doesn't want to come off. As you can see, it doesn't have a lot of play in it on this side where it is. So trying to get it to move is kind of challenging, but we'll keep working on that. I'll probably also, I can pick up on the back of the crank maybe and get it to come loose. So we're gonna keep working on it, but got all the other ones off except for that one. So we're gonna keep working on that one, see where we get. Okay, here we go. First piston out. As you see, I got all the mains set up here. Here's our first piston out. There you can see the bearing. That looks, you know, rough and rusty. That's the other side of it here. Same, feels rough. Had a, you know, some of this whatever salty goop on it. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's why this thing seized up. It's just all these bearings have this salty concoction in them, and that's causing all the problems. You can see there's some surface rust right in there, but again, that's not gonna seize your motor. This is our piston. This thing looks brand new, pretty much. It's supposed to be brand new. It was a rebuilt motor. So yeah, I don't know if this is like some bearing was gonna fall. I don't know if this is some special aftermarket piston, or I might do some investigating, or if any of you guys recognize it, but this is, I mean, it looks brand new. So I'm trying to swivel this around, see if I can look inside of here, see what's going on. But yeah, this all looks fine. I'm saying this is definitely reusable, cleanable and reusable. Run that through a good cleaning and put some new rings on it, and I think that sucker is going to be good as new. So yeah, I think it's just all the goop on the bearings is causing all the friction and helping lock it up. And I mean, there was those lifters that didn't want to move. I don't think there's any like one thing per se. It's just corrosion overall has got it locked up. Anyway, we're gonna keep working on getting these out, and you know, hopefully get the crank out too. But once we come back over here and look, you can see on here, this is same. That oil hole right there is full of that salty goop. And there's some rust along the edges, but again, nothing, it just kind of wipes off for the most part. I think a good cleaning's gonna be good. Then we got the cylinder down here. Looking up through there, again, nothing screams, oh my God, in there, to me anyway. So I think, yeah, good cleaning, and then we'll be able to slap this old girl back together and get it running. So we're just gonna work on going ahead and finishing getting this thing apart. You know, that's pretty much it. I don't have a puller for that, so I might figure out how to get that off because it doesn't want to come off. was hoping I'd whack it with a rubber mallet and they'd come right off, but no such luck. You know, again, nothing like broken or anything. It's just corrosion. So we'll get it apart and get it cleaned. I'm going to work on pulling some more of these. But really there's nothing more to see per se. I mean, you can see the crank, you can see everything here. Like I said, I even got this off. It looks the same as the main bearing. So yeah, I think a good cleaning and some bearings and we'll be all right. So that's that. I don't know if that was anticlimactic for anybody or what, but that's where we're at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and finish working on getting all these things out. I might have to get a puller and pull that, and then we'll pull the cam. So I'll do that, the rest of that stuff in this video as well. So this isn't the end, but you're gonna see me jump pretty far ahead because I'm gonna work on trying to get the rest of this stuff out, and then we'll eventually get to the cam and stuff. All right, I'm gonna call it a night for tonight. Got a late start today doing other chores like mowing and pool and whatnot. But anyway, so we got, was that 6 of these things out? The engine still doesn't turn. I got to work on being able to separate that pulley and then get the timing chain off. Problem I'm having is the last 2 that are in there, they're like, I can't get those other bolts down there. So I don't know how I can get those apart because I can't get to them because I can't move anything. So this is going to be my focus right now. It's trying to get that pulley off and that off, but it's going to be another day. I'm going to have to go get a pulley puller in order to get that main pulley off there and then work on getting the timing chain stuff off. So yeah, anyway, that's what we're at right now. And we're just gonna pause it for tonight, but. All right, everybody, so I went up to the old Harbor Freight and bought myself a pulley puller. It's part of a 3-piece kit. Yeah, there you go, that one. It's upside down, so turn your computer upside down if you need to read it. But it's a 3-piece set. It's like $22 or something like that. I'm using the middle size one, 4-inch one, I think. But anyway, I got this all set up. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and wrench on this thing a little bit, and hopefully this thing will just pop right off of here. That's the idea. Let's see what happens. Yep, it looks like it's coming. Oh yeah, it's definitely coming. So before it falls on the floor, I can tell because of the way the keyway is in there and stuff. It's coming, so I'll go ahead and do that with my other hand. Chickens are the background music for this morning, but anyway, that's it. Wasn't hard to do. $20 set of pullers. So I'll get that off, and then we'll get that plate off, and then we'll start looking at that timing chain. Okay, there we go. That came off. I had to assemble this thing like inside of the, like put the legs on with it connected. So now I'm gonna have to disassemble. Basically just take one of these screws off. Once I get one leg off, I can get it back out of there, but that's that. And then here's your timing plate cover. Seal right there that we'll replace, but there's that. We'll get it all cleaned up and painted and everything. So that'll be ready to go back on. Now coming over here, you can see you got your keyway thing right there. So we're gonna have to pull that out, and then that'll let this piece come off, and then that'll let this piece come off. Then we can disconnect the timing chain from the crank, because I'm curious. I mean, the crank should turn, being as there's only 2 cylinders left in there. The bores don't look that bad, but right now this motor still will not turn. Golly, chickens. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get that keyway thing out. Just probably a screwdriver or something, but we'll get it out and then get this separated out. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I just took a screwdriver and like put it right there and tap that, just so slightly, and that that key came out of there. So that's that keyway on that side. That's what holds the crank pulley. And then you see there's another keyway back here that holds the timing chain. But this is moving right now, so that's fine. Come down here, you got this bolt, 9/16 I think, but I already loosened it, so we'll go ahead and pull that out, and that takes your eccentric and everything off of there. So now we should be able to pull the bottom side off of there and get this, like I said, disconnected, the crank and the camshaft disconnected from each other, because I think the camshaft maybe what's really seized up, that and this rusty old timing chain, because that thing doesn't want to move around a whole lot either. So anyway, we'll pull that off and see what that looks like, and then see if we can turn the crank. Okay, here's the timing chain. What you're looking at is the back side. This is the part that goes towards the engine. What I'll tell you is it didn't want to come off of here very good, and look how it just, like, it's holding its shape. It doesn't want to really move that much. So I can tell you that could have been the source of a lot of our friction of this thing not wanting to move. There's your pin there, but so that's that side of it. And then you come down here and you can see your camshaft retaining plate. So we'll have to work on getting that off. But right now, since this is separated from the camshaft, I'm wondering if it wants to move or not. So I'll probably put the bolt back in here and see if I can get this to turn, because I need to do that in order to be able to get some wrenches on these last two cylinders that are in here. You can also see this kind of rusted up a little bit more after it's been sitting out. So that's why we need to get it to the machine shop before too much longer and get it cleaned and stuff. But I think this is all just very superficial surface stuff. So a crank polish and block clean and stuff, and we should be good, hopefully, to put this all back together and get it running. So let me see if I can turn this crank. All right, well, I'm back, but not with good news. So here's the deal. So the camshaft may be stuck too, but that's irrelevant in regards to the crankshaft now, because they're no longer connected really. I've only got 2 cylinders in here. I've got all the bolts loose that I can have loose on those. I mean, I can try to get those other ones down at the bottom, but they're like tight and not in a good spot to get to. So I'd like to be able to rotate the assembly up here so I can get those out, get those last 2 pistons out. Here's the issue. I can't get that main bearing right there. I just cannot get it to come loose. I've tapped on it with a rubber mallet. Go ahead and cringe. I tapped on it lightly with like a regular hammer. See if just some vibration would cut it loose, and it didn't. I'm kind of at a loss for what to do to get that out now. It's just stuck. So the crank still doesn't turn. So that's all I can think. I mean, the pistons take a little bit to move once you get them disconnected, but not really. I mean, as soon as you start tapping them, they move. So I'm not thinking that's why this thing is locked solid. I'm thinking it's that main bearing right there in the middle, but or crank bearing, whatever you want to call it. But that thing is just solid. It does not move at all. And that's what I think is where the problem is. I mean, all of these bearings you can see, they weren't rusty colored when I first pulled all this out, but they were just caked in like salt. So I'm just guessing maybe that one is completely caked and it was maybe tighter than all the other ones. I don't know, but I can't get it out. And until I can get that one out, I think I'm kind of stuck on the crank. So I don't know, comment below if you've got a plan or an idea or something, but that thing is just solid. My brain says pick up on the front of this crank and see if you can lift up on the whole thing, but then I have thoughts of a bent crank, and I don't want that. So I don't know. That's the only thing holding the crank in. I mean, that and 2 pistons, but those will come out. That's not the problem, really. But anyway, a little defeated on that right now. Not sure what to do. That's not going to break my motor, because I want to be able to put this back together without having to buy everything new or get a whole new block or something. But yeah, so why don't I do this? I'm going to work on the crank see if I can get that out. And I don't know, go get some food and think about this a little bit more. All right, so I got defeated here too. This is the biggest Phillips screwdriver I have. And you can see that thing just doesn't fit super tight in either one of them. You can see how it wiggles, and it doesn't go down in there very good. I thought maybe I could still get it, but yeah, I just tried for both of them and they are tight. So I'm stopped there as well until I get the right tool to be able to do that without stripping those things out. So definitely time to go get food. All right, so we got the right tool, and which is this. This is a number 4 Phillips bit. Got this from Harbor Freight. It's in a Pittsburgh set for $12, which comes with, I don't know, here, I'll show you. It's that set right there. So you get some really big standards, and you get like a 2, 3, 4 bit set. I mean, I had some before, but nothing this big. But once I put that on my 1/2-inch ratchet and I went after these things, it fits great. And then I busted them loose. Now, while I was there at Harbor Freight, just as a side note, they had this thing here. So this is a ginormous Phillips number 4. This also fits it, but I could not get enough torque just by twisting that in order to get it busted loose. That was like a $5 open package deal, so I couldn't pass that up. Anyhow, so let me go ahead and get this off, and then we'll see what we can do about getting the old cam out of here. Okay, here you go. That's the camshaft. Came out all right once I pushed those last couple lifters out of the way, because it was getting hung up on those. It's interesting, I just saw that. I don't feel anything there. Anyway, yeah, this just slid right out, like it wasn't stuck at all. Basically, I just put that bolt in there to give myself something to grab hold to, and it just started sliding right on out, no problem. Twist, it turned fine. So yeah, being that the crank's still locked up and this thing twisted and came out, slid out just fine, thinking that's not a big deal. These last few lifters came out. Literally, I just had to put a screwdriver down there and like just push on just the slightest little bit. It wasn't hard at all. So that wasn't locking anything up. It was just, it took a little bit more than what the magnet had to pull those out. But yeah, that's all the way out. I don't really see any major issues going on in there as far as corrosion either. So I think everything comes back to pretty much this, because this crankshaft is still locked up even with all these other things off. Only 2 pistons left. Like I said, the pistons were coming out. Just all I had to do was get something down there and just bump them a little bit and they were coming out. So I don't think that's the problem. So this is the last piece. If I can get that out, then I should be able to rotate the crankshaft and get these last 2 pistons out, and then this thing will be ready to head to the machine shop. But all right, I guess that's I just don't know how to get that out. Completely stuck. I'm gonna have to figure something out. All right, everybody, coming back with you for the last time on this video. So what we got here is I finally got that middle section out. You can see down in the crank where there's supposed to be oil, there's salty mess. I've rotated the crank so I was able to get to these bolts here, the bottom bolts. So that one, and then over here it was that one. So now I'll be able to get those last 2 pistons out. You can see the bottom of the crank, like that was down in the other half of the main bearings. And you just see all that crusted up crud. I mean, yeah, there's some surface rust and stuff, but I think it was just that all that salt and junk just impacted itself around the main bearings and that's what ended up causing all the problems of the friction building up, because I could feel it building up over the days I was turning it. So I think that's what it was. If I'd have been able to get this thing started, because if there wasn't a second storm and all that, starter would have worked, stuff like that, I probably would have been able to save this without having to necessarily rebuild it per se. But anyway, that time's passed, so this is what it is now. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, I've gotten these two loose. Well, they're loose. There you go. See, that one is. This one, I'll put a wrench on it, move it one last time, and it'll be good. But they're broken loose. So that's it. I'll go ahead and sign out on this and say the reason for this to be seized up was like dried up salt, crystal, just nastiness all around the main bearings, and then just a little bit of friction everywhere else, a little bit in the cylinders from that, a little bit on the timing chain, and then a little bit on the lifters. No one individual thing was necessarily the worst, but I will say once I got that one center cap out right there, I was able to rotate this, but it still doesn't rotate very easily. So like I said, it's not necessarily one place, it's an accumulation of everything. We've got all of our stuff laid out here where it needs to be. So I'll go ahead and pop out those last two cylinders, which obviously go here and here, and then we should be all set with what we need to do. So yeah, that's going to be the end of that, and come back next time to see what we're doing. Probably trip to the engine shop or something like that. So thanks for watching. Subscribe and come back the next time to see us put this back together. I mean, that's the hard part, and that's the exciting part. So anyway, that's all for this time. All right, I was just teasing. I'm going to go ahead and show you the one last thing that really makes me think it's this middle main bearing that was the main problem. All these look gunky, but they, the bearings came out with the support and everything except for this one. There's no bearing there. Pulled the crank out, and there's no bearing. So I went, well, crap. So then I came over and I looked at the crank, and I said, well, what's going on here? So if you notice, the bearing stayed on both sides. So it came up with the crank from the bottom, and it stayed on the crank from the top. So I'm gonna get a screwdriver and give that little, those little tabs right there a tap, and see if I can bust those off, because I'm gonna say that is the reason why, because those bearings still haven't turned. The only reason I was able to move the crank was because it was spinning inside of the block, or those bearings were. So anyway, let me go bust those off, and I'll show you that, and then that'll be the real end of the video. All right, everybody, so now seeing how these bearings work, which, like I said, I've never taken one of these motors apart, but seeing how they go up and actually ride along the crankshaft, and you can see all the rust and stuff in there. So I'm gonna say 1000%, this is the reason why this thing seized up and why I couldn't turn the crank. Because yeah, I still can't hardly get these things out of here. There you go. See, that's why right there. That did it. I mean, all the other things were not great, but that's what did it. And yeah, I can just feel that with my hand. Like, that is just I mean, bumpy and gritty and nasty. And I mean, you can see the salt crystal stuff in here too, but really it's all that stuff on the sides. So hopefully a good clean and polish on this crank, and it's savable. But I would say right at the very end, that's what we did. We found the smoking gun right there. That sucker was not turning because of that. So anyway, yeah, so let's see, next video is still, like I said, it's gonna be probably machine shop and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll get parts back and start putting them together.